Okay, good morning, grade 10. So for today, we will be discussing the integral zero theorem. Now, what is it about? Tungkol ba saan si integral zero theorem? So the integral zero theorem states that an integer k is a root of a polynomial function if and only if k is a factor of a sub zero, which is the constant term. So ang titingnan lang daw natin yung factor lang daw o yung root or yung possible root ng isang polynomial function ay galing lang daw dapat sa factors ng constant term o yung term na nasa dulo yung walang kasamang variable. And you can only apply the integral zero theorem if the leading coefficient of the polynomial function is 1. Diba? Paano ba nalalaman yung leading coefficient? Diba? The leading coefficient po is the term with the highest exponent. So for example, makita nyo, fourth power yung pinakamataas na exponent, then ang nakalagay lang sa function nyo ay x raised to 4. So pwede pong gamitin si integral zero theorem. Pero kunwari kung ang term nyo with the highest exponent, for example, ay 3x raised to 5, pwede po bang gamitin si integral zero theorem? The answer po ay hindi na kasi may 3 na leading coefficient. Now, balik muna tayo sandali ng grade 9 kayo. So, shown on the screen is an example of a function. To be specific, this is a quadratic function. So, bakit siya naging quadratic function? Kasi di ba, a quadratic function is a function of the second degree. Ang highest exponent dito ay 2. Now, there are different methods or there are 4 methods na pwede nyo gamitin in solving for the roots of a quadratic function or so in solving for the zeros of quadratic functions. Di ba ano ba yung zeros? Ano bang sinabing zeros or roots of functions? Again, those po ay mga values ng x lang na kapag sinubstitute sa lahat ng variable na x ng function, the answer will be 0. So, hahanapin natin ilan yung value ng x or ano-ano yung value ng x na kapag sinubstitute natin dito sa function na to, ang magiging answer is 0. Now, balik tayo ng grade 9. Di ba merong 4 na methods? Diba you can do it by, first, extracting the square root. Second is by completing the square. Third is by factoring. Fourth is using the quadratic formula. Now, kunwari factoring yung gusto natin. Di ba pag sabing factoring, si quadratic function is just a product. Yung trinomial na to is just a product of two binomials na pinag-multiply. Now, next. Di ba dalawang binomials na pinag-multiply? Obviously, since the first term nito ay x squared, so that means yung first term ng function na nung hinahanap natin na factor ay parehas na x. Sunod, paano malalaman yung sign sa gitna? So, tingin tayo sa last term. Ang last term natin is negative 6. Since that is negative, so that means yung dalawang number na pinag-multiply ay magkaiba ng sign. Isang positive, isang negative. Okay po? Next, para malaman yung number, isip kayo ng number na kapag pinag-multiply, the answer is negative 6. And kapag pinag-add, ay negative 1. Okay? So the answer is positive 2 and negative 3 kasi 2 plus negative 3 mamaminus magiging negative 1 and positive 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So after getting the factors, di ba, equate both factors to 0. So we have x plus 2 equals 0. So transpose or lipat natin sa kabila, magiging x equals negative 2. And yung isa, x minus 3 equals 0. Lipat ulit sa kabila. So we have x is equal to positive 3. So therefore, grade 10, our values of x or the roots or the zeros of this function are negative 2 and positive 3. Again, paano nasabi na zeros of the functions yung negative 2 and positive 3? So try natin kung dapat kapag sinubstitute natin si negative 2, so if x is negative 2, dapat ang maging sagot doon sa function will be 0. So we have negative 2 squared minus negative 2 minus 6. So negative 2 raised to 2 is 4. Negative times negative, so this will be positive. Positive 2 minus 6 equals 4 plus 2 is 6 minus 6, 0. So tama tayo na negative 2 is a 0 of this polynomial function. Next, let's try positive 3. So ganun din, substitute natin. P of 3 is equal to x squared, so 3 squared plus or minus rather. So 3 squared minus 3 minus 6 equals 3 squared is 9 minus 3 minus 6, and that is also 0. So tama tayo that the two zeros of this polynomial function is or are negative 2 and positive 3. Now, gawin natin yung method. Kunwari, hindi tayo pwede mag-factoring ng basta. So gawin natin sa integral zero theorem, grade 10. Now, sabi ka integral zero theorem, the roots daw of this function is just a factor of the constant term, which is negative 6, pero dapat yung highest exponent, yung term with the highest exponent, ang coefficient niya ay 1. So dito, si x squared si term with the highest exponent. So, 1 ang coefficient niyan. Tama tayo. Then, yung possible roots daw ay galing kay factor ng constant term. And our constant term is negative 6. So, first thing that you need to do is to list down the possible roots. Ano ba yung possible zeros of this function? Pag sinabing factors, ano yung numbers na kapag pinag-multiply, the answer is negative 6. So, starting off with positive negative 1 and positive negative 6. Bakit may positive negative? Kasi di ba, kung negative 6 yung gusto nating makuha, pwede namang positive 1 times negative 6, negative 6. Pwede rin negative 1 times positive 6 still ay negative 6. What else? What numbers pa? We have, okay, that is correct, 2 and 3. So we have positive negative 2, positive negative 3. Okay, so yan na po grade 10. Yung sabi ni integral zero theorem. The possible roots or the possible factors of this function ay galing sa factors of the constant term, which in this case is negative 6. So, ito yung possible roots natin. Now, ano gagawin kay possible roots? Before that, gawin muna natin si Descartes' rule of signs para malaman natin ilan ang positive, ilan ang negative values of x. So, positive to negative, there is a change. So, that is 1. Negative to negative, wala. So, therefore, mayroon tayong isang positive and 2 minus 1. At meron din tayong isang negative root or 0 of this polynomial function. Now, ano ang gagawin natin with the possible roots? Now, magpapaulit-ulit lang po tayo by trial and error ng synthetic division. So, in choosing a number, kayo na pong bahala magsimula. Pwede kayo magsimula positive 1, pwede kayo magsimula positive 6 or negative 6, pero ang pinakamadali is always start somewhere in the middle. So, let's say for example, try ko muna si positive 2. So, we have synthetic division tayo. So, 1, negative 6. Bring down the first term 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 6 plus 2 is 4. So, therefore, this is not a root of a polynomial function kasi hindi siya nag-zero sa dulo kasi meron tayong sinatawag na remainder. Try na niya kabaligtaran ni positive 2. So, negative 2. So, 1, negative 1, negative 6. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 1 minus Negative 1 plus negative 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Ano, this is positive 6. So 6, negative 6 plus 6 ay 0. So that means si negative 2 is one of the correct answer. Balik tayo dito sa Descartes' rule of sign. Negative 2 daw. So ito na yung isang negative. Isa lang naman ang negative root, di ba? So hahanapin na lang natin ay yung positive value ng x. Balik tayo dito sa quotient na nakuha natin. Lalo sa quotient, di ba? Yung nasa dulo is the remainder. Then ito yung constant. Ito si x. So we have 1x or just x minus 3 is 1. Then that is the depressed equation tinatawag. O yung equation after natin mag-synthetic division. Now, anong gagawin natin kay x minus 3? Since that is just a linear function, pwede na lang equate to 0. Tapos lipat natin si negative 3 sa kabila. So we have x is equal to negative 3 nilipat sa kabila. So magiging positive 3. So that means, ano po ibig sabihin nun? That means the two roots or the two zeros that will make the function equal to 0 are negative 2 and positive 3. So this is the final answer. Okay po? Okay, yan po yung process na gagawin natin ng paulit-ulit, yung synthetic division po. Okay po? So let's try kung ganito. So we have p of x is equal to x cubed minus 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. Now, since ito ay cubic function, ang highest exponent ay 3, so that means there will be 3 values of x that will make the function be equal to 0. Unahin natin si Descartes' rule of sign. Positive, negative. Ilang beses nagpalit ng sign? Ito ay positive, negative, negative, positive. Positive, naging negative, that is 1. Negative to negative, wala. Negative to positive, nagpalit. So there are two times na nagpalit siya ng sign. So dalawang positive roots, and since tatlo lang lahat, according to the fundamental theorem of algebra, 3 minus 2, meron lang isang negative root. Okay po. Next, we have the integral zero theorem. Sabi ka, integral zero theorem, the possible roots of this function ay galing lang sa factors of the constant term, which is, in this case, ay 6. So what we have here is factors na ay positive, negative, 1. Then, ano yung multiply sa 1 para maging 6? So we have positive, negative, 6. Katulad kanina, we also have positive, negative 2 and positive, negative 3. Okay po? Okay, next. Ayan na yung possible roots. Ano yung dalawang positive? Ano yung isang negative? So, dyan papasok si synthetic division. And sabi ko nga, always choose somewhere in the middle. Okay po? So, let us try positive 2. So, let's try for positive 2 greater. So, try natin si positive 2. So, we have 1, negative 2, negative 5, and 6. Synthetic division, bring down 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 2 plus 2, that is 0. 0 times 2 is 2. 0 times 2 is 0, rather. Negative 5 plus 0 is negative 5. And negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. 6 plus negative 10, negative 4. Since there is a remainder, so this is not a correct answer. This is positive 2. Try natin si negative 2. So, ganun pa rin. 1, negative 2, negative 5, 6. Bring down 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative plus negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 2 is negative positive 8. That is positive 8. Then negative 5 plus 8 is positive 3. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And 6 plus negative 6 is 0. So, nag-0 tayo dito. So, therefore, negative 2 is one of the correct answer. O, tingnan nyo grade 10. Dahil alam natin na si negative root dito sa Descartes' rule of sign ay iisa. So, therefore, ano ibig sabihin nun? Nakuha na natin yung kaisa-isang negative root or negative value ng x. So, for example, dito, kung itatry natin yung 3, kailangan pa bang isolve yung negative 3? Hindi na po, kasi nga, wala na tayong hinahanap na positive root. So, ang either na lang na gagawin natin, ang hahanapin na lang, pwede na lang natin isolve ay, wala lang negative. So, pwede na lang yung 1, 2, 3, at 6. No, pati ang 2 ay hindi nakasama. So, 1, 3, and 6 na lang. Okay po? Now, di ba meron tayo dito nakuha? Si 1, negative 4, si negative 3. Di ba ito yung constant? Ito yung x. Ito si x squared. So, kapag sinulat natin siya, di ba, this is now x squared plus negative, or no, not plus, x squared minus 4x plus 3. So, ito na yung gagamitin natin. Ha? So, next slide ko po ha. So, again, negative 2 pala yung tamang answer. So, we have, again, dito ay x squared minus 4x plus 3. So, ganun ulit. Positive na lang, di ba? So, try natin si positive 3. So, we have 1, negative 4, 3. Bring down 1. 1 times 3, 3. Negative 4 plus 3, negative 1. Negative 1 times 3, negative 3, 0. So, negative 3 is one of the correct answer. So, di ba? Balik tayo sa Descartes' rule of sign. Positive, negative. May dalawang positive, isang negative. Nakuha na natin tong negative. Nakuha na isang positive. So, isang positive na lang. So, obviously, ito ay remainder constant x. Tama? So, magiging x minus 1. So, si x minus 1, again, katulad kanina sa factoring, equate sa 0, lipat sa kabila. So, x is equal to 1. O, nakuha na natin yung tatlo. What are the three values of x? Diba? Yung kanina ay negative 2, positive 1, and positive 3. O, diba? Tama naman yung sa Descartes' rule of signs. Dalawang positive, isang negative. Yun po yung kagandahan na alam natin kung ilan yung hinahanap natin ng positive at ilan yung negative using the Descartes' rule of signs. Okay po, next example tayo, we have p of x is equal to x raised to 4 minus 4x cubed minus 3x cubed at this is 3x squared. Palitan ko na lang po. Edit ko lang po muna ha. Okay po, going back, we have p of x is equal to x to the 4th power minus 4x cubed minus 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. Now, let's have the Descartes' rule of signs muna. So, di ba sa Descartes' rule of sign, ilan yung positive, ilan ang negative na roots. So, based sa kung ilang beses siya magpapalit ng sign. So, ito ay positive, negative, negative, positive, positive. So, positive to negative, that is 1. Negative to negative, wala. Negative to positive, nagpalit ulit. So, another 1. So, this is the second. Then, positive to positive, wala. So, dalawang beses siya nagpalit ng sign. So, that means there are two positive roots. And since according naman sa fundamental theorem of algebra, di ba? The highest exponent, yan ang magsasabi sa inyo kung gano'ng dami yung roots. So, since ito ay 4, so 4 minus 2, ibig sabihin, meron na lang dalawang negative na roots. Now, list down natin, possible roots. Using the integral zero theorem, sabi, di ba, factors lang daw ng constant term. So, obviously, andyan lagi si positive, negative 1. Ano yung multiply sa 1 para maging 8? Di ba? That is positive, negative 8. Sunod. Ano pa yung pwedeng i-multiply para maging 8? Di ba we have positive, negative 2 and positive, negative 4. So those are the factors of, or the possible roots of this function. Again, grade 10. Synthetic division tayo, trial and error. So start mo muna tayo with somewhere in the middle. Try natin kunwari si positive 2. List down natin yung coefficients. So, 1, negative 4, negative 3, positive 10, 8. So, bring down 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 4 plus 2, negative 2. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. Negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. 10 plus negative 14 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 2, negative 8. So that means mag-equal siya sa 0. And since nag-equal sa 0, wala tayong remainder. So that means si positive 2 ay isa sa correct answers. Okay po? Next. Alam na natin na positive 2. Try naman natin yung negative 2. Pero in this case, ito pa rin bang gagamitin natin? Yung 1, negative 4, negative 3, 10, 8. Hindi na po. Ang gagamitin na po natin is yung bago. So we have 1, negative 2, negative 7, negative 4. Ganyan po lagi para mas madali na. So bring down 1. 1 times negative 2, negative 2. Negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 2. Negative times negative is positive. 4 times 2 is 8. Negative 7 plus 8 is positive 1. And 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. Since we have a remainder na negative 6, so therefore, si negative 2 is not the correct answer. Okay po? So, try natin. So, ibig sabihin, tapos na tayo with negative 2. Try natin kay 4. Okay, next slide ko na po. Let's have positive, possible roots muna. List ako ulit. Positive negative 1, positive negative 2, positive negative 4, and positive negative 8. Tapos tayo with 2, so try natin kay 4. So we have 1, negative 2, negative 7, negative 4. So paulit-ulit lang po na synthetic division. So we have 1, 1 times 4 is 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. Then, negative 7 plus 8 is 1. And 1 times 4 is 4. And obviously, nag-0 na tayo. So, that means, since ang remainder is 0, so si positive 4 is a root of the function. So, balikan natin si Descartes' rule of sign. Kanina, Ilan ang positive roots? Di ba dalawa? Ilan ang negative? Dalawa rin. Kanina po, nakuha natin that one of the roots ay positive 2. Ngayon, nakuha natin positive 4. So that means, dalawang positive na yung nakuha natin. So wala nang ibang positive root. So si positive 1 ay hindi na root as well as si positive 8. Kasi nga, dalawa lang naman yung positive. Eh, nakuha na natin yan, si positive 2 at si positive 4. Now, another theorem po, yung pinapanood ko sa inyo last week, yung upper bound and the lower bound theorem. Now, ano ba yung upper bound and lower bound theorem? Now, makikita nyo dito, di ba, nag-synthetic division tayo. Tingnan nyo yung answer. Ano ang sign lahat ng answer? Ang sign lahat ng answer ay positive. So kapag nakita nyo na positive yung answer, yung lahat ng answer natin sa synthetic division, that means this is an upper bound of this polynomial function. So kapag sabing upper bound, ibig sabihin po, wala nang ibang factors na tataas pa kay 4. Okay po? So wala nang answers na mas mataas pa kay 4. So that means si positive 8 is hindi na po possible answer din. Kasi nga, wala nang mas tataas pa kay 4. Wala na siyang sagot na mas tataas pa sa 4. So, paano naman kapag, di ba yun yung upper bound? So, paano pag sinabi naman na lower bound? Kapag lower bound, ang magiging sagot naman po natin ay nag-alternate. Kunwari lang po kunwari, ang sinosolve nyo dito ay negative 2. Tapos, ang naging answer nyo after nyo isolve ay 1, negative 3, negative 1, negative 3, 7. For example lang. So, dito, di ba, ano yung nangyari? Nag-alternate yung sign. Positive, negative, positive. So, dito naman po, pag sabing lower bound, wala nang answer na mas bababa pa dun sa pinili nyo. So, dito, wala nang answer na mas mababa pa kay negative 2. Okay po? So, yun yung lower bound. Kapag upper bound, mas mataas sa kanya. Lower bound, mas mababa. Pag upper bound, puro positive. Kapag lower bound, alternate. Nakakatulong po yun sa inyo doon sa pagsasolve. Okay po? Next po tayo. Dalawa pala yung nakukuha natin na roots ha. We have positive 2 and positive 4. Okay po, so negative na lang. Ibig sabihin, dalawang negative roots na lang. So, ibig sabihin, ang pagpipilian na lang natin ay negative 1, negative 4, and negative 8. So, alin na lang kaya dyan sa tatlo? So, balikan natin. So, we have, yung kanina, di ba, 1, 2, 1 na lang. Saan galing yung 1, 2, 1 na yan? Ito po, yun naging sagot nung naging factor siya. Okay po? So, next po natin, pili tayo. Pili tayo dun sa negative 1, negative 4, negative 8. Try natin, sige, si negative 1 na obviously kasi 1 na itong dulo, di ba? Try natin si negative 1. So, bring down 1. 1 times negative 1, negative 1. 2 plus negative 1 is 1. 1 times negative 1, negative 1. 1 plus negative 1 is 0. So, negative 1 is also a root. Next po. Again, this is the remainder. This is the constant term, and this is x. So, we have x plus 1. Again, since ito ay x na lang, so equate na lang to 0. Si 1 lipat sa kabila, x is again negative 1. Ibig sabihin po, yung dalawang negative numbers na hinahanap natin ay parehas na negative 1. So, yan po yung tinatawag grade na concept na multiplicity. So, ibig sabihin po niyan, si negative 1 ay dalawang beses na factor nitong polynomial function na to. So, paano nyo po isusulat yung answer na yan? So, we have negative 1 of multiplicity 2. Ibig sabihin, yung final answer natin dito or yung sagot natin ay, ano ulit yung mga factors? We have 2, 4, negative 1, or you can write it as 2, 4, then negative 1 of multiplicity 2. So those are the factors or the roots of the polynomial function. So those are the values of x na kapag pag sinubstitute natin sa lahat ng x ng isang function, ang answer will be 0. Okay po? Okay, that is, again, lesson number 6, the integral zero theorem. So don't worry, grade 10. Magpo-post pa naman ako ng videos pa, ng discussion pa, ng example pa next week. So, no need to worry. So, maikli lang naman po yung seatwork mamaya. Okay po? Okay, that is all for today. Okay, thank you po, grade 10.